I turned 70 last summer. 70 years, can you imagine? And on that day, my own family handed me a paper plate. No china, no silver fork, just a flimsy paper plate with my slice of cake. I remember the frosting cracked under the plastic fork and the silence. Oh, the silence was louder than the church bells. That's when I knew family isn't always safe. Sometimes the danger comes with your own last name. But let me slow down. My name is Margaret Hale. Folks here call me Maggie. I was born in Ohio, but I've lived in Oregon for almost 40 years. This little town by the Columbia River has been my home. People wave when they pass. The air smells of lavender in the summer. Golden light spills across the porch at sunset. It looks like peace, but peace can be an illusion. My house isn't fancy. One story, wood siding paint peeling on the east wall. Inside, a round oak table scratched by time. A rocking chair by the window, cushion faded from decades of use. And a radio. An old AM set that still hums if you twist the knob just right. That radio plays Hank Williamson Sunday mornings. It keeps me company. Tick-tock goes the wall clock. Crackle goes the radio static. That's the rhythm of my kitchen. I keep a little garden out back. Lavender rose, tomatoes in clay pots, and one stubborn apple tree that refuses to die. Every July, I sit out there with lemonade, watching neighbors stroll to the farmer's market. They sell honey, homemade pies, old books, and rusty farm tools someone found in a barn. I sell things too. On Facebook Marketplace, I post teapots, quilts I no longer need, and sometimes my late husband's tools. Strangers show up, shake my hand, say, "Ma'am, your garden smells like heaven." I smile, but inside I wonder if heaven feels this lonely. My husband, Robert, passed 15 years ago, cancer, swift and merciless. I buried him under the oak tree at Trinity Churchyard. Since then, it's been me, this house, and the photographs on the wall. 2 children, grown with families of their own. Grandson Evan, bright-eyed, 18 years old now, dreaming of college. I used to believe family was forever. But forever turns brittle when money whispers. That birthday afternoon, I sat at the end of the table. Paper. Plate in hand, plastic fork, my slice of chocolate cake. They sat closer together, my daughter-in-law Lauren, my grandson's step-uncle Tyler. They whispered, their voices like rustling leaves. I caught words. Documents. Safety. Signatures. And I felt a chill run down my back. See, I may be 70, but I'm not deaf. I know when people plan something they don't want me to hear. That day, between frosting and whispers, I realized they didn't see me as family anymore. They saw me as paperwork. I don't tell you this to beg for pity. I tell you because silence is a locked door, and I'm done living behind it. My story isn't polished, it's not sweet. It's the kind of story that makes you check who's sitting at your own table. Because betrayal rarely comes from strangers. It comes from people who know where you keep your recipes, your keys, your trust. But before I unravel what they tried to do, let me paint the picture clear. Oregon in summer is deceptively kind. The sun lingers long, spilling honey gold light across porches and church steeples. Children ride bikes down. Cracked sidewalks, neighbors swap zucchini over fences, and from the river, a lavender breeze drifts soft as prayer. It looks like peace, but behind closed doors, peace can break like a fragile plate. I sit most mornings with my recipe box. Inside, handwritten cards, smudged with butter, edges curled. One card holds my late husband's pie recipe, Marionberry, Oregon's pride. But tucked behind it, there's something more. A letter. Yellowed. Signed in his firm hand. A letter that might be the only thing standing between me and losing everything. But I'll get there. For now, just know, the pie recipe isn't only sugar, it hides secrets, inked in the margins of marriage. When the clock struck 9 that birthday night, guests had left. The house smelled of candle wax and frosting. I washed dishes at the sink. The radio hummed. Static. Crickets chirped outside, and my daughter-in-law stood in the doorway. Her voice was soft. "Mom, we need to talk." It's about your safety. That's where my real story begins. That night after the cake, I couldn't sleep. The clock tick-tocked on the wall. Outside, the wind brushed the cedar branches. My radio, left on low, whispered a country song. I sat at my oak table, hands folded, staring at the recipe card box. Life had always been measured in small routines, a teaspoon of sugar, a load of laundry, a drive down to Safeway. That's how you survives. 70 years, not through fireworks, but through cups of coffee and the rhythm of chores. Morning came early, Oregon summer. Light slipped through the blinds like golden lace. I made coffee, 2 scoops Maxwell House, 1 spoon powdered creamer, just the way Robert liked it. Old habits don't die. They just sit quietly in your kitchen. Evan, my grandson, stopped by after breakfast. He's 18, tall, wiry, with sneakers always unlaced. He grabbed a mason jar of fear, sweet tea from the fridge, gulped it down, then hugged me quick. "Love you, Grandma," he said on his way out, and I melted like butter on cornbread. But even love can be complicated. His mother, Lauren, my daughter-in-law, she's sharp, always dressed perfect, talks fast about college funds, health insurance, real estate. She calls me Mom, but it lands like a practiced word. That morning, she came in behind Evan, purse on her arm, keys. Jangling. "Morning, Mom. We're thinking about getting your paperwork organized." Paperwork? The word thudded like a heavy door shutting. I smiled polite, but inside I felt a shiver. See, in small towns, people talk. And I'd heard whispers at the diner. Old neighbors pushed into signing things. Homes sold, accounts shifted, all for safety. I never thought my own family would bring that word to my table. Safety. Sometimes safety is just another way to say control. That afternoon, I turned to my garden, pulled weeds, trimmed lavender, sprayed the apple tree with the old gallon jug. Sweat rolled down my back. I wiped it with a dish towel. Work in the soil clears the mind, but even then, the word echoed, paperwork. Later that week, I drove my old Chevy into town, stopped at the post office, then the hardware store, bought nails, a new padlock for the shed. The clerk, a boy no older than Evan, bagged my things, smiled. "Hot out today, ma'am?" "Yes," I answered, "but storms can come quick." He didn't know. I meant more than the weather. Back home, I brewed sweet tea with lemon slices, turned the radio to local news. The announcer talked about county fairs, road repairs, a missing dog. Ordinary. Life. Ordinary noise. But under it, my heart was restless. That night, as I folded laundry, I found something in the pocket of Robert's old flannel. A folded receipt, not recent, from years back, but on the back, in Robert's handwriting, "Protect the house for Maggie, not for them." His words, faded, but fierce. I pressed the cloth to my face, smelled cedar and soap, and I felt a weight in my chest. Robert had known, even back then, he'd worried about them. Who was them? The kids, the in-laws, the world? All I knew was that his words were now my warning. The following Sunday at Trinity Church, I sat in the last pew. Organ music filled the high rafters. Light spilled through stained glass in colors like candy, but I couldn't focus on the sermon. Lauren sat 2 rows up, her phone glowing, her fingers tapping fast. Not scripture, not hymns. Something else, and I felt the distance grow between family and faith. After service, people gathered outside. Children ran, women shared recipes, men talked fishing. Mrs. Patterson, neighbor, came over. She's 80, uses a cane, but sharp as ever. "Maggie," she whispered, "watch your back. I've seen this before. Families chasing signatures." I stiffened. She squeezed my hand. "Don't sign. Not without a lawyer." On the drive home, the sky darkened. Clouds stacked like gray books over the hills. I rolled down the window, smelled rain, felt wind whip my hair. Nature has a way of telling the truth. Storm coming, always a storm. That evening, I sat with Evan on the porch swing. He scrolled his phone, showed me a video of kids skateboarding. Grandma, one day I'll design parks, big ones, with ramps, lights, music. I smiled, but inside I thought, what future will he really inherit? And from who? I tucked that question into my heart, because stories aren't told in one breath. They unfold like recipe cards one by one, and soon I'd face the first card I wished. I could burn, the card that carried the word power. Not power of love, not power of hope, but power of attorney. It was a Tuesday morning. Cool air drifted through the curtains. The coffee pot burbled, filling the kitchen with that nutty smell. I was buttering toast when Lauren walked in. "Morning, Mom," she said, setting her purse down. Her tone was bright, but her eyes, sharp, like glass. She pulled out papers, crisp, white, fresh from a printer. "Just a few things for your safety," she smiled. Safety. That word again. I wiped butter from my fingers, took the stack. The top page read, "Durable Power of Attorney." My chest thudded. "Lauren," I said, "what is this?" She poured herself coffee, stirred it slow. "Just standard paperwork, Mom. It lets us help if you ever, get forgetful." Forgetful. I may misplace keys, but I don't forget who I am. I set the papers down. The print swam before my eyes, words like control, authority, consent. Lauren sipped her coffee. "Don't worry. Evan and I already looked it over. It's best if you sign now before anything happens." Anything, as if disaster was penciled on tomorrow's calendar. I remembered Robert's faded note in his old flannel. Protect the house. For Maggie. Not for them. Was this what I feared? I looked at Lauren, her perfect hair, her steady smile, and for the first time I saw a stranger in my own kitchen. I stalled. "Oh, honey, I need my glasses." She waved it off. "Of course. Take your time. But it's just routine." Routine. Like birthdays, on paper plates, like whispers when they thought I couldn't hear. Later that day, Evan came by. He flopped on the couch, snacked on chips, laughed at his phone. "Grandma," he grinned, "Mom says you're setting up paperwork." "That's smart. Makes life easier. Easier for who?" I wanted to ask. But his eyes, so bright, so trusting, I swallowed my words. That evening, I called Mrs. Patterson. She picked upon the first ring. Her voice crackled through the old landline. "Don't sign, Maggie. Not without a lawyer." "I know," I whispered. "But what if they push?" She paused. "Then you push back. Quiet strength. Don't let them box you out." I sat with that thought all night. The wind rattled the back window. The recipe box sat in the counter. I traced the edges, smelled butter and cinnamon. That box held recipes, but also history. If they could take my house, my accounts, would they also take my story? Next morning, Lauren was back. This time with her brother Tyler. He wore a suit 2 sizes too shiny, as if playing lawyer. They spread papers on the oak table. "Mom," Lauren said sweetly, "all you need is your signature here, then we can manage. Bills, doctor visits, insurance, everything." Everything. Too big a word to hand away. I picked up my pen, held it, not writing. The ink tip hovered over the line. Tyler leaned in. "It's just formality, Maggie. Everybody does it." I looked at him and thought, formality sounds a lot like trap. My hands shook. I set the pen down. "Not today," I said. Lauren's smile tightened. Her brother sighed. "Fine, Mom," she said. "We'll give you time." Time, but I knew they weren't giving time. They were buying patience, waiting for a moment to corner me again. That night, sitting on the porch swing, I felt the weight. The stars blinked above the pines. Evan texted, "Love you, Grandma." And I clutched that phone tight. Love, but also fear. Fear that love could be twisted into leverage. I know some of you watching have felt this too. That unease when family talks about safety. That knot in your chest when papers appear and you're told to just trust. If you've ever felt your own kin plotting behind your back, please drop a comment. Tell me where you're from. Let's see how far this story travels, because no elder should face this alone. That was the moment, the first crack. The moment. I realized this wasn't about care, It was about control. And once control is on paper, it's hard to take back. The next Sunday was supposed to be calm. I woke early, baked banana bread, set out butter. The air smelled sweet like my childhood kitchen. I hummed with the radio, folded napkins, waiting for Evan. At 10 sharp, they arrived. Lauren first, heels clicking, eyes hidden behind sunglasses. Then Tyler, tie crooked, carrying a briefcase. And finally Evan, head down, backpack slung over one shoulder. My heart sank. This wasn't brunch. This was business. Lauren kissed my cheek, cold as glass. "Mom," she said, "we really need to finalize things today." Tyler opened the case, slid out more papers. The kitchen table, once home to pies and family games, was now a desk for signatures. I poured coffee, my hands steady. "Lauren," I said, "you're rushing me." She leaned close. "It's for your good, Mom. We just want to make sure your affairs are in order." Affairs, as if I were already gone. Evan shifted. He wouldn't look at me. My sweet boy, caught between loyalty and pressure. "Grandma," he murmured, "it's just easier. For all of us." Those words, "for all of us," cut deeper than a blade. I reached for the papers. Power of attorney, transfer of assets, healthcare proxy. Each line gave them control, not just of my house, not just my savings, but of me, of my choices, of my voice. Tyler cleared his throat. "All you need, Maggie, is to sign. It keeps things clean." Clean. That word, like bleach, like erasing me. I looked at Evan. He stared at the floor, hands fidgeting. "Is this what you want?" I asked softly. He hesitated. Lauren's nails tapped the table. "Yes, Mom," she answered for him. "It's best. He's just too young to say it out loud." I felt something break inside. The trust, the bond, the safe circle of family, splintered. This wasn't love. It was ambition. My own daughter-in-law saw me as paperwork, as property to file. And my grandson, the boy who once picked dandelions for me, was Nodding along, I folded the papers, slid them back. "No," I said, my voice steady. Lauren froze. "What do you mean, no?" I repeated, "I'm not signing today." Tyler chuckled low. "Maggie, you don't understand. Without these, your accounts may freeze. Your medical bills—" "I've paid my bills since before you were born," I snapped. The room thickened. Lauren's smile vanished. "Mom," she hissed, "don't be stubborn. This is protection." "Protection from what?" I asked. Silence. And in that silence, I heard the truth. Not protection, possession. Evan finally spoke. "Grandma, if you don't do this, Mom says maybe. We can't help anymore. Maybe I can't visit." My heart cracked. They were using him. Using my own boy as a chain. That was the twist, the real betrayal. Not the papers, not the signatures, but turning my grandson into a weapon against me. I rose slowly, my knees stiff, but my voice strong. "You'll always be welcome here, Evan, with or without papers." He blinked. His lip trembled. Lauren grabbed his arm. "Come on, we'll let her think. She'll sign later." When the door shut, the silence rang louder than thunder. I sat at the oak table, hands flat, breathing slow. The papers remained, their black ink glaring like wounds. That night, I called Mrs. Patterson again. Her cane clacked as she came over. She studied the papers, her eyes narrowing. "This isn't just help. This is takeover." "I knew it," I whispered. She nodded. "They're planning ahead, not for you, but for them." We sat together, drinking tea, listening to crickets outside. "Your strength, Maggie," she said softly, "isn't in signing. It's in resisting. Quiet, steady resisting." I held her hand. The kitchen clock ticked, and in that tick-tock I felt something return. Resolve. They thought I was weak. They thought love made me blind. But love, when tested, can be sharper than any knife. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The following week was heavy as storm clouds. Every footstep in the house echoed sharp. Every phone call felt like a summons. I moved slower, not from age, but from dread. By Thursday evening, Lauren called again. "Mom," she said, "family meeting Sunday. We'll settle this." Her tone left no room, not an invite, a command. Sunday arrived. I set the table, my oak table, scratched by decades of meals. Banana bread cooling, fresh coffee perking. I wanted it to feel like home again. But inside, I braced for battle. They came early. Lauren. First, eyes sharp, voice syrupy. Then Tyler, briefcase again, papers stacked inside. And Evan, dragging his feet, hands buried in his hoodie. We sat. Silence throbbed. Finally, Lauren spoke. "Mom, this has dragged on. We need closure today." Closure. As if I were an old chapter to be erased, Tyler slid the papers out. "This," he said, "is standard, Maggie. Doctors recommend it. Attorneys recommend it. It's the smart way." Smart. The word stung, as if resisting made me foolish. I cleared my throat. "I'm not signing." The room froze. Lauren's face hardened. "Why?" she snapped. "Because," I said, "I still have a voice." Her cheeks flushed. "Mom, stop being dramatic. You're not 20 anymore. This is reality." "Reality," I answered, "is that this house is mine, my story is mine, and my choices still mine." Evan shifted. He whispered, "Grandma, please." Turned to him. "My boy," I said, "do you remember fishing at Mill Creek? Me teaching you to ride your first bike? Was I weak then? Was I helpless?" His eyes brimmed. "No," he whispered. I leaned forward. "Then don't call me weak now. I am still me. I can still bake, still garden, still think. Don't let them tell you. I'm already gone." Lauren slammed her hand down. "This isn't about you. It's about what's best for all of us." Her voice cracked. Not kindness, but anger. Tyler cleared his throat. "Mom, we're offering stability. Don't throw it away." I laughed bitterly. Stability or control? Silence. Their eyes darted. That was the truth. It slipped out without words. I rose slowly. My knees creaked, but my spirit flared. "This table," I said, "has held birthdays, holidays, grief, joy. It's oak, solid oak. It has scars, but it stands. Just like me." Evan's chin quivered. He muttered, "She's stronger than you think." Lauren's head snapped. "Stay out of this." But it was too late. The boy had chosen sides. I stepped closer to her. "You talk about love, about care, but you see me's a file to manage. I am not a file. I am flesh, blood, memory, song. I am still your mother." Tears burned my eyes. For years, I swallowed silence, let them lead. But now, no more. The house hummed with electricity, like a storm ready to break. Lauren's voice cracked. "Fine," she said. "If you won't sign, don't expect help. Groceries, doctor rides, figure it out yourself." I straightened. "I've been figuring it out my whole life." The room split wide. Evan sobbed quietly. Tyler looked away. Lauren stormed out, heels pounding. The door slammed. The echo lingered. I sank back into my chair. My hands shook. I wasn't sure if I had won or just delayed the loss. But one truth pulsed strong. They had heard me. For the first time, they had heard me. Later, Evan crept back inside, his eyes red, voice soft. "Grandma." "I'm sorry, I didn't want this. I just didn't know how to stand up." I hugged him tight. "Now you know," I whispered. That night, alone in bed, I felt emptied out, but also lighter, like a storm had passed. Not over. Not yet. But the thunder had been heard. The oak table still smelled of coffee. The papers lay untouched, and I knew this wasn't finished. The real fight was only beginning. But my heart, though tired, was ready, because I had found my voice again, and once found, a voice doesn't. Break. After the stormy Sunday, the house felt strange. Coffee cups still sat, half empty, lipstick stains, crumbs of banana bread. But the silence, that was heavier. I sat at the oak table, running my hand over its grooves. Each scratch was history, birthdays, report. Cards, late-night tears. This table knew truth, and now I had to fight for mine. I called Mrs. Patterson again. Her cane tapped fast. She studied my face. "You stood tall," she said proudly. "Yes," I answered, "but it isn't over. They'll push. Harder." Her eyes narrowed. "Then you push back. But smart, not loud." That night, I opened the cedar chest at the foot of my bed. Inside were letters, photos, old deeds, proof of my life. I pulled out my husband's will. Yellowed paper, but clear words, everything. Split, house to remain mine, not Lauren's, not Tyler's, mine. I made copies, tucked the original back in linen. One copy went to Mrs. Patterson. "Hold this," I told her. "If anything happens, you show it." She nodded, eyes fierce. The next morning, I walked to First National. The teller smiled. "Mrs. Hale, haven't seen you in months." I leaned close. "I need statements, all of them, every month. Paper, not digital." She nodded, clicked keys, handed me folders. I slipped them into my tote. Walking home, the sun burned, but I felt steady. The sidewalk cracked, my knees ached, but my grip, strong. This was my money, my record, my shield. That afternoon, I set up the radio, the old one, on the counter. Click, static. Then, music. Not just comfort, but cover. Because I had a small recorder hidden, a gift from Church Bazaar. If Lauren came again, I'd have her words. No more he said, she said. Evidence. By Wednesday, Evan showed up, his hair messy, eyes tired. "Grandma," he whispered, "I can't sleep. Mom keeps yelling about you." I hugged him. "It's not your fault, sweetheart, but I need you to be brave." His eyes widened. "How?" "By telling truth, whenever it matters." We sat together sorting pictures. Me in Ohio snow, him in pumpkin patch, his hand in mine. "These are proof too," I said. "Proof I raised you. Proof of love. Don't let anyone erase that." He nodded, bit his lip, and tucked one photo into his wallet. Thursday, the phone rang. Lauren again, her voice sharp. "Mom, doctor's appointment Friday. We'll take you." But I already called. I already knew. My health was fine. Blood pressure steady. Sugar. Normal. No emergencies. This was no ride. This was stage setting. Friday morning, I dialed Pastor Jim. "Could you come?" I asked softly. Within an hour, his pickup rattled in. We sat on the porch. He sipped sweet tea. "Lauren wants guardianship," I explained. He frowned deep. "She'll need proof you're unfit." "You're not. I've seen sharper eyes in you than most." He pulled a notepad. "I'll testify if needed." That night, I wrote everything down. Dates.calls.words. The slammed doors, the threats, the pressure. Line by line, ink scratching, like carving memory into stone. If they tried court, I'd be ready. Saturday. Opened Facebook, typed slow. My roses bloomed today. Just that. No family drama. But the likes poured in. Church friends, old classmates, neighbors. They reminded me I wasn't alone. Community matters, community sees, and sometimes community protects. Sunday, I baked again. Cinnamon rolls. The smell filled. Air. When Lauren walked in, recorder running, she sighed. "Mom, don't make this harder. Sign and you can relax." I smiled softly. "I relax when I'm free." Her eyes flashed. "You'll regret this." Click recorder caught it. Evidence. That night, I replayed the tape. Her voice hissed back. Not love, not care. Control. I pressed stop. Slid recorder into drawer. My heart pounded. This was it. The beginning of my defense. I am old, yes, but not gone. And old. Women, when cornered, find claws. I sharpened mine quietly. Through papers, through friends, through truth. They thought I'd fold, but I was building something stronger. Not just resistance, but a wall, and behind it I'd stand. Ready. Monday morning broke quiet. I watered the lavender, radio humming low, but my chest still carried storm beats. The fight wasn't done. Not close. I checked the mailbox. Bills, coupons. One letter from the county clerk. My heart raced. I tore it open, hands trembling. Inside, a property notice. This house still listed solely under my name, clear as daylight. No signatures missing, no liens, proof. I sank on the porch step, paper shaking. For weeks, they said I'd lose, that I was slipping, that control belonged to them, but here, black ink official seal was truth. This house was mine. Later that day, the phone rang. Mrs. Hale? A woman's voice. This is Diane, county caseworker. I received a concern about your well-being. Concern. I knew who called. Lauren. I braced myself, but Diane surprised me. I visited church Sunday, saw you chatting with neighbors, handing out cinnamon rolls. You looked steady, stronger than most. Her pause stretched. Sometimes families misinterpret things. If you need, I'll vouch. My throat tightened. Someone believed me. That evening, Evan showed up. He looked tired, but calmer. Grandma, I went through Mom's files. She's been talking to lawyers already about guardianship. His eyes watered. I couldn't let it slide. He handed me a folded paper, printed emails, Lauren's words, cold, sharp, about taking over accounts. I hugged him. My sweet boy, you are my strength. He whispered, they think I'm a kid, but I see everything. I won't let them take you away. That night, I spread the papers on the oak table. Property deed, bank statements, recorder, emails. Piece by piece, a shield. My army. Small but enough. Wednesday, Mrs. Patterson returned. I spoke with Pastor Jim, she said. He's on your side. He'll testify. You're active, sharp, capable. Her cane tapped strong. And I've seen more wit in youth than in any lawyer. Don't you forget it. I smiled weakly. I'm scared, but not broken. She grinned. That's what scares them. Friday afternoon, Lauren stormed in again. Her eyes, hard. Mom, don't make this ugly, just sign. I stayed seated, recorder hidden. I received a letter, I said. House is mine. She flinched, just for a second. Paper doesn't matter. Courts do. I leaned forward. Courts also love truth. Click, recorder caught it. When she left, slamming the door, Evan slipped from hallway. You got her, Grandma. Her mask slipped. I touched his cheek. We'll need more. But yes, it's a start. That night, I couldn't sleep. Wind rattled windows. Lavender swayed outside. I whispered aloud to my late husband. Frank, they're trying to erase me, but I'll fight. For us. For this house. For Evan. Help me hold steady. The silence after felt warm, like he heard. Saturday morning, a knock at the door. I opened it to find Mrs. Wilson, the mayor's wife from years back, her hair silver, her hands full of papers. I heard rumors. Maggie came to see truth. We sat at the oak table. She scanned my documents, nodded slow. You have enough if you stand firm. Her eyes softened. And if you need, I'll speak too. My throat tightened again. So many years I carried silence. Now others spoke for me. I felt like sun through clouds. That evening, Evan baked cookies. We sat with Coco, laughing softly. For the first time in weeks, I felt safe. But I knew the fight was near. Sunday morning, papers stacked ready, allies lined close. The oak table gleamed, lavender scent drifting. I looked around my house, my walls, my pictures, my history, and I whispered, they won't take you, not while I breathe. This was no longer a lonely battle. I had proof. I had voices. I had love. And when the storm came, I'd be ready. Because truth was finally on my side. Monday dawned gray, sky heavy, air thick, the kind of day that whispers trouble. I dressed slow, hands steady, navy cardigan, gold brooch. My Sunday shoes. This wasn't vanity. This was armor. Evan waited by the door, shirt tucked, eyes sharp. "You ready, Grandma?" I smiled faintly. As ready as ever. We walked, two soldiers heading to battle. The courthouse smelled of old wood and polished stone, stained glass above, cold air inside. Lauren stood there, hair neat, papers stacked high. Tyler leaned smug against the wall. Their lawyer, tall, gray suit, flipped, his folder like a weapon. My heart pounded, but I walked straight. Mrs. Patterson appeared, cane tapping, face stern. Pastor Jim, too, Bible tucked, eyes calm. Behind them, Mrs. Wilson entered, silver hair glowing under courthouse lights. My army had come. We sat. Judge Harper entered. Old man, steel glasses, voice like gravel. This case concerns guardianship petition over Margaret Hale. Lauren's lawyer rose. "Your Honor, our client is concerned Mrs. Hale is elderly, confused, incapable of handling her affairs." He glanced at me as if I were already gone. Lauren nodded sweetly. "She forgets bills. She's vulnerable. We only want to protect her." Her voice dripped honey, but I knew the sting beneath. Judge Harper turned. "Mrs. Hale, do you have counsel?" I stood slow. "No lawyer, Your Honor. Just truth." My voice shook once, then steadied. I opened my tote. Laid out bank statements. Property, deed. Doctor's note. All neat, all real. "Sir, I pay my bills. I cook, I garden, I walk daily. This is my proof." I held up the county letter. "This house is under my name. Always has been." Murmurs filled the room. Lauren's lawyer frowned. "Paper isn't enough. Capacity is the issue." Pastor Jim stepped forward. "Your Honor, I see this woman every week. She leads bake sales, remembers hymns by heart, comforts the young. She's sharper than half my congregation." Then Mrs. Patterson spoke. Her cane hit floor. "Judge, I've lived beside Maggie 30 years. She's strong, organized, fierce. If anyone's confused, it's her children. Confused about greed." Gasps echoed. Lauren flushed red. Finally, Mrs. Wilson dot elegant. "Calm. I know this family. I've seen attempts to control her. But Mrs. Hale is no victim. She's capable, wise, respected." Her eyes locked in Lauren, and she deserves peace. Judge Harper scribbled. Then he looked at Evan. "Young man, you live closest. What do you see?" Evan swallowed, but his voice, steady. "My grandma's my rock. She raised me, fed me, taught me truth. She's no burden, she's my guide, and I won't let anyone take her away." The silence cracked. Judge Harper leaned back. "Well," he sighed, "I've heard plenty." He peered at Lauren. "Your petition rests on assumption, but evidence shows Mrs. Hale is independent, healthy, clear. This guardianship is denied." The gavel struck. Sharp. Final. My knees weakened. Evan gripped my arm. We had won. Lauren shot daggers. "This isn't over," she hissed, but her voice was hollow now. Tyler muttered, jerked his head, stormed out. Mrs. Patterson hugged me. "See? Steel. Spine." Pastor Jim patted my hand. "God was here," Mrs. Wilson whispered. "Peace is yours now." Outside, sun broke through clouds. Warm light poured across steps. Evan grinned wide. "You did it, Grandma." I shook my head gently. "No, we did." Back home, I set the papers back in cedar chest. Safe, guarded. The lavender breeze drifted through window. The clock ticked soft, and for the first time in months, my chest felt light. Not from surrender, but from victory. This house, this table, this life, they were mine. Not to hand away, not to erase. And I vowed, as sun spilled golden across oak floorboards, that no one would cage me again. The morning after court was softer. Sunlight slipped through lace curtains. The oak table gleamed, quiet and loyal. Lavender swayed gently in the summer breeze. For the first time in months, I sipped coffee, without fear. Evan sat across me, munching toast. Grandma, it feels different today, like the air's lighter. I nodded slowly. It is, sweetheart, because truth won. Word spread fast. At the diner, folks clapped my shoulder. Proud of you, Maggie. You showed strength. At church, Pastor Jim smiled. Congregations behind you, always. And even Mrs. Patterson, stern as ever, winked at me. Lauren didn't come around. I heard whispers. She and Tyler pulled into debt. Their schemes unraveling, creditors circling. Karma doesn't rush, but it arrives. One evening, a county letter came. Investigation. Launch it into their conduct fraud. Manipulation, false statements. The law would do its part. Justice moves slow but steady, and I simply rested. With the battle done, I returned to life. Simple, steady life. Morning radio, cinnamon rolls cooling, on the counter, Evan's laughter carrying. From the yard, neighbors stopping by with pies, with stories, with warmth. Community felt like family again. I tended lavender, hands deep in soil, each root strong, each bloom resilient. Just like me. Storms may bend us, but roots hold, and when sun returns, we rise. One night, I sat on the porch swing. The stars scattered, crickets chirped steady. I thought of Frank, of years gone, of battles survived. I whispered, I made it, love. I kept our home. I kept our name. I kept myself. The wind rustled leaves, answering in kind. Evan joined me, a mug of Coke in his hand. You know, Grandma, you're the strongest person I've ever known. I chuckled softly. Strength isn't loud, Evan. It's quiet. It's stubborn. It's choosing to stay when others want you gone. Autumn arrived, leaves burned gold, air crisp, scent of apples. I baked pies, shared slices with neighbors. Evan started classes, studying hard. I cheered him on, grateful to witness his steps into tomorrow. The county case closed, Lauren fined, Tyler barred from. Finances. Their names whispered with pity now, not fear. They reaped what they planted. I simply watched, hands folded, heart calm. At Christmas, the house filled. Carolers outside, fire crackling. Cocoa steaming, Evan strung lights on the porch, laughing. The oak table groaned with dishes. Neighbors, friends, children, all gathered. Laughter echoed through walls once heavy. This house breathed joy again. And me? I sat back watching glowing familiar faces. My heart whispered, this is victory, not courts, not papers, but peace, family, belonging. As year turned, I planted new bulbs, tulips, daffodils, colors waiting, like hope buried, waiting to bloom. The ground remembers. So do we, but spring always comes. Now at 71, I tell my story, not for pity, not for applause, but for you, because storms come for all of us, sometimes from strangers, sometimes from kin. But strength, real strength, lives in the choice to keep standing. So I ask you, dear listener, as crickets sing and coffee cools, when your storm arrives, what roots will you hold? What truth will you guard? And what peace will you choose once the clouds pass? The swing creaked gently. The stars kept shining, and in the quiet, I knew. The storm had ended. The home was safe. The heart was free, and my story, my American story, was finally whole.